This Retail Technology Spotlight Series podcast is brought to you by the OmniTalk Retail Podcast Network, ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally and currently ranked in the top 100 of all business podcasts on Apple Podcasts. And this podcast is just one of the many great podcasts you can find from us here at OmniTalk Retail, alongside our Retail Daily Minute, which brings you a curated selection of the most important retail headlines every morning, and our signature podcast, the Retail Fast Five. It breaks down each week the top 5 headlines making waves in the world of omni-channel retailing, and it comes your way every Wednesday afternoon. Hello, everyone. We are your co-hosts for today's interview. I am Chris Walton.
And I'm Ann Mazinga.
And Ann, grocery pricing, agentic AI, loyalty, I feel like I can't get enough of those topics. They're all getting a ton of buzz coming out of grocery shop. And so, you know what? I was asking myself, Ann, I said, what if there was a platform? What if there was a platform that could put a radical new spin on all of them for consumers, on all those ideas for consumers? And you know what? I think we might have found it. I think it's called Grocery Dealz, or it's a good bet that it may be called Grocery Dealz. It's a new startup out of Texas, and what the team there is doing is definitely new and novel and worth all y'all's intentionally consideration. And hopefully by the end of today's podcast, you'll be saying to yourself, huh, that is a really interesting idea. So please join us in welcoming Grocery Dealz co-founder and co-CEO, Matt Goynes, to today's program.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Ann. Pleasure being here.
Well, we're so excited that we get to have you join us today. We had your co-founder, Michael Waldrop, on our grocery shop Top Tech preview. We saw you too at the grocery shop event just a few weeks ago. But for those who might be meeting you and Grocery Dealz for the first time, can you take us back to how this idea came to you all? I feel like I should be saying y'all, Matt. Why didn't you correct me?
We appreciate the y'all,
Yes.
trying to, wear the cowboy hat, represent Texas as much as possible.
Mhm.
So Mike and I, we've been longtime friends for about 20 years. And Mike is the serial entrepreneur. He's come up with, hundreds of ideas over the years and typically calls me as kind of a bouncing board to bounce ideas off of. And some are kind of crazy and wild, like, deer breeding farms, to others like Grocery Dealz. And he
It's a
called
big
me.
spectrum.
It is, yeah. The guy's got a lot. His brain never stops thinking. So, thankfully for that, we have Grocery Dealz. But he called me with this idea, and I've spent most of my career in sales and marketing, and was kind of an early pioneer in the mobile app marketing space with Expedia and Hotels.com. And so he called me and said, "Hey, what do you think about this? Grocery prices are insane, and there's just not a tool out there that can help people compare and save. And no one knows exactly how much they could save by switching stores or just shopping at another store. This doesn't involve coupons. It's just looking at the stores around you, much like Gas Buddy or GoodRx. And I had spent time in the comparison shopping space and instantly saw the value and said, I have to partner with you on this. And yeah, that's that's how it started.
So, and you were in sales and marketing. What was it about kind of your background and your expertise, Matt? And tell us more, a little bit more about that. What was it that you were like, okay, there's possibility here? What was missing in the market that you feel like this really serves a need for?
Yeah. Yeah. So two parts there. First part of my background was we were envisioning this as a mobile app. And I, I'm kind of one of the early foremost in the space, mobile app marketers, and said, "Hey, this is a good product. I can get this out there. We can market this." And then, my second piece of the background is I've been part of, many tech startups over the last 12 years, scaling them, from a sales leadership standpoint, with a lot of exits to companies like Twitter or Inmar, InMarket. And so I had played in the grocery space as well. And I told Mike, I was like, look, I've been around the tech startup space. We can scale this and, to a fruitful exit or IPO if we decide to go further, whatever the case may be. So that was kind of, my background and selling point to him was we can market this and we can sell this to investors and to the market. And in terms of, the consumer bit, we did a lot of research early on, and had found some companies that had tried and failed in the past to do this, but we're kind of at this inflection point in the market where the demand, with grocery prices being the highest it's been in 40 years, has finally met this supply and availability of data. Almost every grocery retailer out there has their prices out there available, either on their website or in their app. And after kind of seeing that, we started putting things in motion. Hey, let's go find a data source. Let's go talk to a developer. Let's go start raising money. And yeah,
Okay, Matt. So let's have you dig in a little bit. I want to dig into the actual product with the big P word. So, like, where is the product right now? Where is it available? How does it work? You know, tell us more about it.
yeah. So it's really a B2C to B product. So from the consumer side of things, we had a successful launch in DFW, Texas back in June. Um, Great alpha and beta learnings that we got from that. Primarily, you guys talking about, hey, this is a great app, but the substitutions are driving me crazy. And so we spent a lot of time, a lot of money fixing the substitution process because obviously when you're comparing across, hundreds of grocery stores across the US, some products may not be available at other stores. So how do you find, a like product or, best match to compare it to? And so, yeah, we really doubled down on the product itself, and that's been Mike and myself's North Star from the beginning. Is the product has to be perfect. Consumer expectations, have to be perfect. The comparison has to be perfect. Can't just be slightly off or only matching for 9 out of 10 items, whatever. So, yeah, after successful beta and rolling out our big update in early September, we're now live in all of Texas, and we've been live for the last 4 weeks. And next week, we should be live in all of California as well. And
Oh wow.
the next, hopefully by end of November, that's our goal. We want to be live in New York, Illinois, and Florida. And then
Wow.
who knows from there?
Okay. All right. So that's pretty big progress, in the span of a short, 3 months, June to September. So I'm curious. So walk me through, like, if I'm a consumer, let's say I'm a consumer in California, how will I interact with the app? What will I do?
You can download the app. It's free on iOS right now. You can continue as guest, or you can build an account. We wanted people to be able to continue as guests to just quickly dive into it, build a shopping list. You can search, you can add from our featured items section, and your shopping list can be anything from one to hundreds of items if you want. And then once you're happy with your shopping list, you hit compare and it looks at all the stores around you and then tells you where you can get it the cheapest. And it's really shocking how much you can save. I use it. I'm probably our biggest user, me and Mike. And
Super user.
yeah, super user. I save at least $60 each trip for my family of four, just by switching. So we try to tell people, and we're having to really do a lot of education to consumers that, hey, this is out there. It
Yeah.
doesn't involve coupon clipping. It works with any retailer you already shop at. We're not trying to replace the Kroger app or Instacart. We're just a starting point that launches you into those platforms.
Yeah, and that was a point I was going to ask you about this later, but I might as well ask you about it now. So, like, and so that's a really key consideration point for the user too, like, right? Because you guys are essentially, you're scraping the internet, say in Texas or California, of all available grocery data and information out there, and then making it easily digestible for the Grocery Dealz user to see and price compare across all those different options. That's right? That's essentially what you guys are doing.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, so then so if that's where it is now, where do you see things going in the future? Where do you plan to take things? You talked about expansion. I'm curious, like, why you picked those states, if you could talk about that. But then also, where does the product go in terms of, product two? Well, I don't know what iteration you're on, but product 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 as the new CEO. Where do you envision taking things?
As part of the state expansion, we're really following money. And,
Okay.
as a
Makes
business,
sense.
something we have to focus on. And we have a big, I can't say partnership with Instacart coming out, but we've embedded their software developer kit and have joined their developer program. So now Instacart will be our main delivery fulfillment for all of our shoppers. So you can
Mm,
build a list, you can compare that list, and then if you want to go in store, great. If you want to purchase it and get it delivered with Instacart, you can now do that. And so that's a big step for us. And uh, again, like we're not trying to replace the consumer path to purchase here. We're just trying to, uh, and having Instacart as our fulfillment partner helps us do that.
And Matt, that makes sense. I mean, that's a great thing from the customer's perspective. And I imagine starts to get more and more conversations going with then the brands and the retailers that you're working with too. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, and that's exactly where our B2B side of the business come in,
Yeah.
and what we're calling the retail media marketplace. So
Okay.
kind of an evolving retail media network. And it seems like every week in grocery, there's a new retail media network that pops up,
Mhm.
and that's what we're trying to build and create. Is hey, we have this marketplace where consumers are actively building shopping lists. We have custom first party data that we
Mhm.
can pass back, and you can target consumers based on. And then we have this comparison screen, which gives retailers the last chance to win this consumer, even if they
Right.
lost the comparison. They may have lost
Right.
by $15, $20, but gives them an opportunity to highlight, hey, we have these other great solutions, or here's our differentiators. And it may not be as low as Walmart, but we have X, Y, and Z. So
Right.
that's really what a big focus of our business is on now is talking to the CPG brands and the retailers and getting them to participate and own part of this price transparency in this path.
And what's been their response before or already when you've started to have some of these conversations already, Matt, but how are they responding to this opportunity? And then how are you kind of taking what they're saying and kind of plotting that out for how you envision working with them going forward?
So it's definitely been a mixed bag of responses. There's been kind of this newer guard within retail that's more edgier in technology, uh, front and center. And those we've talked to several CMOs at grocery retailers that are more forward thinking and embracing AI and other things, and they love this. They
Hmm.
see the future for it, and they want to participate in it. And many have, and
Hmm.
it's really like spitballed into, man, we can like uh, price match. We talked to one
Right.
CMO of a major grocery retailer, and he's like, "Hey, look, if it's a user, if it's Chris Walton, who I've never seen before, yeah, I'll price match. To
Right.
be number one or whatever, just to win
Hmm.
him over." And
Yeah.
when I was on the
Who doesn't want
marketing,
to win me over, Matt? Yeah, of course.
yeah, we all know how much you're worth. So whether that's a profitable win for them or not, no. And so yeah, there's been that group of people that have been very, and we could do X, Y, and Z with it. We can do this. And that's what we want. We're an early, flexible startup. We want to build solutions that value the retailers and CPG brands. But we've also talked to that other kind of old guard that is
Yeah.
maybe persistent or resistant to change. And, kind of the number one feedback we hear from them is we don't want our prices out there. And
Yeah.
what I tell them, and according to the Upside study, 82% of consumers are already grocery price comparison shopping. And that's the highest category of any other category in the US. Fuel is third. It's
Hmm.
shopping. So we tell them, like, hey, they're already price comparison shopping. They're already out there looking at your prices and your competitors. Might as well embrace this and be a part of it. And the retailers and brands that own this process and this price transparency, those are the ones that are going to win. And, we saw that when I was at hotels.com and Expedia, which now there's over, I think, 100 plus different price comparison websites out there.
Yeah, so Matt, that's interesting too because like as a former merchant, what you got me thinking of in the example too, when you're kind of joking about me, is like I was actually thinking like, yeah, if I have a really loyal guest who I know, I can identify them as shopping on Grocery Deals or a price comparison site, and they're thinking about going to my competitor, and I might lose that loyalty. I'm going to probably do a lot to keep them, in my brand, in my portfolio for sure. So I'm curious. So talk more about the value. What is the inherent value of comparison shopping? Like, why is that such an important thing based on your experience? You talked about it a little bit, but I want to go more into it, like in terms of what you saw at hotels.com. Why is that such an important factor here?
There's a lot of value in comparison shopping. I know personally now, grocery bill is more than my house mortgage, which is crazy. And for most consumers in America, that's the situation we're dealing with. And anytime I buy over, I'd say anything over $200, my wife's like, "Did you shop around? Did you look at two or three different stores?" And I'm like, "Yes, I looked around. This was the cheapest." So I think as consumers, we like to feel like, whether we're actually doing it or not, it's a different story, but we like to feel like we've done the research and we've taken the time to find the best deals. I think a lot of us are naturally kind of deal seekers. And um, that's what we're trying to tell the grocery industry is, if you can help make this easy and this process easy for consumers that are already doing it, according to the data. And that's what we did at hotels.com. We noticed we had, I think it was crazy, it was around a 95% bounce rate on our website. So out of 100 people that come to the website, 95 would leave. They go straight to Google and they type in LA hotels or New York hotels or whatever. And then we lose them somewhere down the line. And
Mm.
what we decided was, hey, they're obviously comparison shopping. So let's own this process. We started scraping our own data. We started including the competitors' prices on our website as you check out. So it would say,
Interesting.
like, "Hey, Chris, you're buying this hotel for 140 a night with hotels.com. You could be buying it for 152 a night with Pricelines, or 170 with Orbitz." And what we found was shocking is that one, it built a lot of trust and brand loyalty amongst our consumers. They really appreciated that we were making this comparison shopping easy for them because we knew they're doing it anyways. And two, our bounce rate went from like 95% to sub 40%, which on a multi-billion dollar company, that was hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in just 1 year. And so that's what we're trying to bring to the grocery industry. And we're actually talking to a major retailer that wanted to do that, wanted to license our comparison engine to show their competitors prices. And, we tell them, like, you're not always going to be the lowest. And that's okay.
Right.
Consumers understand that. When I was at hotels.com, like, there were our rewards members who loved our rewards program, and they wouldn't switch for $10 or $15 savings because they wouldn't get their hotels.com rewards points. Just like I'm not going to switch to, Walmart for, anything less than $10. I don't want to have to go relearn the aisles or deal with the crowds or scan my own items. You know, I have my own store that the deli guy knows my name. So, but for $40, yeah, sorry, I'd switch.
Mhm. Yeah, and you need to know that because you're not competitive then too. As that retailer, right? You want that information, I would think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or you want to be able to incent certain customers to come over, like you were saying earlier. If you know some information about Chris and his spending habits or something like that, like or that he will shift his loyalty to you, I'm sure that makes an impact on things too.
Yes.
Um, well, I want to shift gears and ask you a question that I know has definitely been on my mind, and I'm curious how you and Michael think about this. But AI and searching for things like groceries, trying to, really consolidate your trip to find deals. That's really, come to the fore in the last couple of weeks even it seems like. How do you both think about AI's impact on grocery shopping overall, and particularly kind of the evolution of pricing transparency in that mix and how people are shopping for products?
It's absolutely the forefront of our mind, and
Hmm.
one of the reasons we're able to do this. AI is a big component of the Grocery Deals app and engine, our comparison engine, our substitution process, even just the normalizing of data, because what Kroger calls bread and categorize it under the bread category, Target, it may categorize it under bread and bakery. And so if
Hmm.
we're trying to find a substitution for you, we can't reference that category if the categories aren't matched up in a line. So we use AI for a ton in the app. And I think as consumers, it's going to make your shopping process easier and give you more insight into prices and different features and functionalities. And, we're seeing other players in the space do cool things with shopping lists where you can just type your list or talk your list and it digitizes it. I believe Instacart or Walmart, I think, just announced that. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of it, and from day one, we've built in a lot of AI on the back end.
Matt, do you feel like Grocery Deals is still kind of defensible against a ChatGPT shopping search or price comparison search because of some of the added benefits that you mentioned that retailers have from participating in this? Or how do you kind of think about the Grocery Deals kind of value proposition?
Yeah, it's honestly, something that when we talk to investors, that's what
Mhm.
they kind of say is, who's
Yeah.
to say AI or Chat GPT won't replace you in 6 to 12
Mhm.
months? And we say, yeah, we've thought about that. We use a ton of AI already in our app, and ultimately, there's still some areas where AI can't replace Grocery Deals, and I think it can definitely improve it and enhance it. But building the marketplace, building the relationships with the CPGs and the retailers, just getting the amount of data that we have and accessing that data is still extremely difficult to do. And I think one of the barriers for entry of why other companies and apps haven't gone this route, or at least haven't successfully implemented what we've done. But yeah, it definitely gets brought up, I'd say, almost all the time.
Yeah, and who's to say the two couldn't work together in the long run too? I think
Mhm.
if you think about it conceptually as well, right? So, and I love how dug in you guys are as entrepreneurs too. Like you nailed it with Target's bread and baking. Yeah, that brings back some haunting memories of working right alongside that team for 2 years. So yes, you guys are definitely familiar with what's going on in the industry. All right, well, let's get you out of here on this. Um, say we have you back on. Say we have you back on 1 year from now, Matt. What do you hope to accomplish in that time frame? Put yourself in your shoes 1 year from now.
Yeah, from a consumer standpoint, we really hope to have been a major disruptor in the grocery shopping process and bringing the value of all the savings to consumers who absolutely desperately need it. So, hopefully, a year from now, we're saying, you know, this has taken over America. This has massive adoption, much like Gas Buddy did when they started in '07, and the gas prices hit all time highs. That's what we hope from a consumer standpoint, is that a vast majority of users are starting with us and then continuing their grocery process, whether going in store or getting delivered. And I'd say from the B2B side, our goal would be that we have a lot of these CPG brands and retailers building custom programs to integrate with our CPG marketplace and offers for our retailer marketplace, where they can win over and participate in this price transparency and ultimately win this consumer. So that would be amazing, and that's absolutely our north star and our goal.
Well, I am very, very hopeful that we get to talk to you 1 year from now, Matt, and you've already accomplished that and so much more. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today and to share more about Grocery Deals with our audience. Um, I'm sure there's retailers, brands listening amongst others. What should they do if they want to get in touch with you and learn more?
I'd say start with the website. Go to
Okay.
www.grocerydeals with a z.com. All of our contact information is there, information about our solutions. And yeah, Mike and I's email addresses are right there on the website. There's no info at Grocery Dealz. It's just straight to us. So we're here and we're ready to talk.
All
Amazing.
right. Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. That wraps us up today. Matt Goynes of Grocery Dealz. Today's podcast was produced, of course, by Ella Sirior. And as always, on behalf of all of us at OmniTalk Retail, be careful out there.